All right, welcome everybody to the Real-Time Casting and REDBOOKS Partnership webinar here. We're very proud to announce this partnership. And we all have really the same goal, and that's continue to make a positive impact on the voiceover community at large. And of course, that's going to be everybody on this call as well. Before I begin, just to throw a few housekeeping items in there, since we do have a lot of people on this call, the phones are automatically muted, just so we don't speak over each other, because that's never fun. So this is just going to allow everyone to really get the most out of the session, but I will, however, be taking some questions at the end, and you guys can put those into that question bar here at the GoToWebinar screen. Do keep in mind that as I go through, I'm probably going to answer a lot of those questions. We will take some at the end. I will not have a chance to get to every single one of them, but if we don't, no worries. We will get back to you via email here in the coming days with those answers. And we're going to have even more information out about this partnership as well, since this is just an introduction to it here, for instance. Okay, so we got all the boring housekeeping stuff out of the way. Let's kind of get started. So everyone here is pretty familiar with real-time casting, I'm assuming, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. I am going to be spending a little bit more time on the voiceover community at large. So real-time casting, as you guys know, the original idea behind real-time casting was really to have the perfect tool for the professional that wanted to be able to market themselves online and in areas. Real-time casting, they met with a lot of major agents in New York and LA, as well as the union. And the union and the agents, they were very keen to see real-time casting succeed, as success for RTC is success for them. And real-time casting made that happen. So, as you know, I've known Andrew here for a number of years, as well as real-time casting as a whole. We know that they're committed to full rates for voiceover talent. They never act to drive rates down, and they never double dip or take commissions from the money you earn with your talents. I love that they're fully transparent about every fee, about every job, and probably the best part is that it's created by voice professionals for voice professionals. And that's always really important too, because you know what? They're in your shoes. The cost is a lot less than what you find with other sites out there too. It's $199 for the membership, so saves you a little bit of cash too, while giving you access to really good agents and such. So as the years went on, it was really obvious that real-time casting needed a partner, especially now with all the fun changes going on in the voiceover community. We all know what that is. We needed to bring something unique to the table, and that's really where REDBOOKS comes into play. Now, so for those of you who may not be familiar with REDBOOKS, I wanted to go ahead and talk about it here a little bit. As a company, REDBOOKS has been in publication, print publication, since 1899. So, and that's right, 1899, over 100 years. And really is the go-to resource for information on agencies, 14,000 plus, advertisers, over 100,000 brands. And we update daily, which is always nice because the market is very, very dynamic. It's changing every single day. And we provide real-time intel on these people, which, as we'll get to here, is very important. So whether your goal is to promote yourself to an agency or production department, maybe in your backyard, or you want to kind of expand that out to the US or even globally, or just make an introduction to a brand that you really want to do work for, this is where REDBOOKS is going to be able to help you out by getting you to the right person, but very importantly, by providing the right insights and intel to intelligently craft your message. Because when you're doing your outreach, that's very important. It's not just having the right contacts at a company. And don't get me wrong, that's obviously an important part of it. You also must reach out the right time and be able to have a targeted or a relevant message. And that's what's going to make your email or your voicemail stand out from everybody else out there. And don't forget about snail mail too, because it is important. It works. And I have plenty of evidence to show that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to the REDBOOKS platform so you guys can see this live. I'm here inside of the dashboard, and this is kind of where everything starts off. I'm not going to take the opportunity to go over everything here today, but I am going to kind of hit those high points, the important parts of it that I think are going to be very helpful. So first, I'm going to kind of just jump right into it here and jump over the opportunities, which are different changes that are happening. Always good to keep an eye on that. Could be a point of introduction, for instance, as well as new brands that are coming or going with an agency, for instance, as well, featured accounts changing hands. But I'm going to come right down here and do a quick search. So I'm going to, in this case, look for a company called Carnival. I'm pretty sure you guys know about this. So Carnival Cruise Lines, I had someone email me last week about this in the voiceover community, and I thought it was really an interesting example, so I wanted to use this one here today as well. So I just searched for Carnival. I'm going to jump down here to Carnival Cruise Lines, but we have two profiles because Carnival Corporation has their own profile too. So it's going to be more information in there that could even prove beneficial. So we are now inside of the profile for these guys. So what is available? So you're looking at something like Carnival. This may be one of those brands that you really want to work for here. This is going to give you some insight into the company. Now, as I mentioned, we update all the time, update daily. This profile is updated on the 24th. So we're just talking, Thursday of last week. So the background is simply that. It's a little background on these guys. I love this here on the 23rd of this month. Anomaly, which is an agency, beat out a few other agencies to win the Carnival Cruise Creative Business. And this could be an opportunity to make that introduction and be like, hey, congratulations. You know, they may not be the right agency at the right time, but having this connection and having this opportunity to make that introduction can be very huge. So always good to keep an eye out for that. Same thing here when it comes to featured executive changes. This is a VP of Partnership and Loyalty. This is pretty recent. Not the right person. You could always send a congratulatory email here or just ignore it altogether. Either way, you're going to see a lot of these changes on this screen here right at the top. So the background is simply that. So a little background on these guys. We're all pretty familiar with Carnival here, their corporate family, brands. This is all going to be labeled out here right from the start. So you can get a really good overview of the company as a whole. Let's jump over to the contacts. The goal here is, and having a real-time casting profile is important, but you don't want to just sit back and wait for work to come to you. It works that way, right? But you also want to go out and market yourself as well. And I mean, I personally work with other people in many different industries, and I see a ton of success with that. Now in this case here, we're looking at 36 people within the Carnival Cruise Line specifically. You don't want to just mass email everybody. You can see emails here for most people. 80% have email addresses. And we do all the verification and the work ourselves here. So again, we're in control of the data. We're in control of the accuracy. Don't mass email everyone. It doesn't work. It's not effective. And in the long run, it's not going to get you very far. You want to develop a relationship with these companies and with the decision makers there. And let me show you how to do just that. So you have the right people here, and I can easily use, instead of 36, that's a small list. I can easily kind of scroll down and see who's all there and kind of pick and choose, but sometimes you're going to see hundreds. And when that's the case, using the drop down is definitely going to help. And in this case, we can see who's here in like marketing and advertising. And maybe you want to reach out to Carnival. Maybe you want to reach out to one of Carnival's agencies, for instance. Either way, getting your foot in the door, kind of developing that relationship, always very important. So you have some folks here, whether it be the CMO at the top. I'd like Erica down here. This is a senior marketing manager and producer for advertising. So probably one of the right people to reach out to. Email addresses here as well. That's always important. But you want to craft your message using, LinkedIn information you find, using news you see on people. I see that Kathy here, the CMO, has news on here. I could easily click on that and actually track all the news and what's going on in her world. Let's do that. Let's see what's going on. So last mentioned news article on 6/1, so it was a couple months ago, but good to have that in here, and you can actually be updated real time if your contact makes the news again. So I can do that by saying, you know what, Erica is someone I want to watch. I'm going to go ahead and check her because I want to save this. Maybe even the VP of Strategic Marketing, just some decision makers here. Here's that new person, the Director of Loyalty Marketing, I believe. So you can find the people that might make sense for you to start developing that relationship with. Either the right person or even just one person removed, because it's always good to get an introduction internally. So I'm going to save those people here, and I'm going to save them to a list that I've created. And as you're going through, you guys can create these lists too, so that you can either have priority lists or industry lists or what you can specialize in. I went ahead and I have one called RTC that I've created. I've just been adding to it here. That has a lot of people, a little brands, mostly producers and production people in it, and I've just kind of been building that up. I'll show you where that goes here in a couple minutes. Let me show you what else is available too, because it's not just about context, but you want to know you're targeting the right company. Is it worth your time, right? So one thing I always like to take a look at is media spend. Carnival spends a lot of money on media, but we want to make sure they spend it in certain areas, right? Now, this is just an indicator. I wouldn't use this as like the end-all to be-all, but you can see different areas that are trackable. And I use that word lightly here because of the fact that not all media spend is trackable. We work with Kantar to provide this information, but you can see where they're spending their money here. So National Spot Radio, how much they're spending in the last few years, and they spent $1.2 million just in the first quarter of this year. Online video, U.S. online video, they spent $1.5 million last year, so that's always a good one. And it's going to be a good indicator for you to say, okay, is this somebody I want to reach out to, or do they do all magazine and print? So this can be used as an indicator. This can also be searched on as well. So if you want to find everyone in travel and hospitality, which Carnival falls into, we can then say, hey, great, show me everyone that spends money in certain areas that also fall into this industry, and then search based on that, and even adding in titles, for instance, if you wanted to. Now, we also have on here creative work, for instance, that they're doing, and we're continuing to add to this part, which is great. You can actually see videos of different creative work that they've done. This is kind of new for REDBOOKS here, and we're continuing to beef this up. Social media is something else that we do as well, Twitter and Facebook, and we're growing this part too. Everything is searchable within the platform here for the most part, and that includes like Twitter followers. So if your or Facebook page likes. So if your focus is more on the social media side of things, this could be an important place to focus your efforts on, and maybe find those companies that are doing a lot of work when it comes to social media. Now, I'll talk about agencies here too. We have 14,000 plus agencies, so there's quite a bit here within the agency world. These are the agencies that are working with Carnival, so we can see who's working with them on certain areas, and you're easily able to go over, see that whole profile, check out that information that's in here as well, and then do some outreach that way too. But I'll talk about agencies here in a little bit more detail. We got so many of them. What I'm going to do is actually jump back to the dashboard and kind of go back where we started. All right, so what I'm going to do here, instead of putting in a company like I did for Carnival, I'm going to come down here and actually do a browse. You can do this for the advertisers too, but I'm going to do it for the agencies. And we can kind of pick and choose who do we want to go after based on maybe your specialties. Maybe you want to start in your backyard, for instance. The choice is really yours. So we have different filters on the left-hand side. But you can definitely do it by geographic location. I love the specialty filter personally, because this allows you to go through 4 different types of specialties and see what agencies kind of hit these marks. The first one is a media focus. So you can come down here and say, great, and there's just dozens that are in here. I want to maybe look for those agencies that specialize in radio. Perfect. And there's a lot more that's on here. Social media is on here. It's always good to kind of take a look through here. Target market is more demographic and attitudinal. So if you have a specific skill set, maybe the teen market and the tween market, you have a good voiceover talent within this industry, this demographic, use that to your advantage. Find those agencies that also specialize in this too. And then lastly is key services. So you can look for agencies that specialize in content or in production or so on here, and kind of make it your own. The customer is the last one. I really don't see that being too relevant for you guys, but this is here as well. If you're looking for agencies that work with certain types of companies, you can do that as well. So don't count it out, but I think the other 3 are really important too. 152 come back. And these are agencies that, again, we're very granular here: radio, teen, tween, production. So now we can kind of jump into these profiles and see the information that we have on them as well. And it's very easy to do. Right now it's ordered by a number of employees, for instance. So I'm going to jump away from this, and I'm actually going to jump back onto the dashboard here, because I want to get into really the meat of it here. Yep, we have the contacts. You've seen that here. We have a lot of intel, but the goal is to find the brand and agency contacts that you want to work with, and then start building that relationship. So we want to be smart about that. We want to be very smart about that. And that's where the leads tab is going to come into play. So as I mentioned, as we were looking at Carnival here, I was building that list out. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. I have a ton of lists in here, so don't mind that. RTC, here we go. We got quite a bit. I have 1,600 people in here, and I've just been building this list over the past week or so and adding people to it. And this one contains a lot of people in production or producers, but I didn't even really touch the brand side of things. So this can easily grow. This is a large list. I wouldn't suggest having one this big. Let's have multiple ones that kind of segment it out. That's going to make it easier to manage. But regardless, there's the goal here of making sure that you have this information in front of you. And as I'm adding it to here, I have very easy access to their email address all in one place. I can jump over to the company profile again and see, okay, what's going on with them. I have LinkedIn, and I have news around people too, just like I showed you before, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. That's the red alerts. That's very important too. And I think what also might be very helpful for you guys is just follow up here. You can put notes or to-dos in here, which just remind yourself what you've done within this company. So always nice to have that too. I'm going to jump over here to the red alerts because I think this is very important. We built machine learning technology in-house, and we look at 1.2 million news sources real time. If you compare that to something like Google News, that's about 50,000 or so news sources. We go well above and beyond that. And the goal here is to provide you guys with intel from a variety of different sources that's going to help you stand out from the crowd. Again, your goal is to have your communication not be just part of everybody else's. You want to stand out. You want to have a reason that they're going to give you a call back or send an email back, for instance. And this is all based on the leads in your leads tab. So these are mine. I have a number of lists that I have built, but I can see here what's going on within these guys. So, Nissan donates $1 million to Habitat for Humanity. Rebecca Vest, who's a Vice President of Corporate Development and Social Responsibility, is my contact in procurement and sourcing. I can jump over here and actually see that article and see that this was done at, let's see, 1:47 p.m. this afternoon. So we're not talking about very long ago. And that's the goal. This is going to give you that reason to reach out, and you can use this as a, hey, I saw you mentioned on WJTV 12. That's awesome. I would love to make a quick introduction. May I give you a call this afternoon, or is tomorrow better? So this is going to be your sales trigger if you want to look at it that way. Again, the goal is to have the opportunity to go out there and promote yourself, but do it very smartly. And this is what it's going to do. You can see I have a lot of people making the news today, and this is a very important aspect of it because this is going to allow you to have that targeted message. Now, there is a lot more here to the platform. My goal is really to highlight the areas that's going to help you guys the most. There's so much more that we're going to do, and we're actually going to be having different training sessions on the REDBOOKS platform as well. One thing that I think is very important to kind of add to this mix is what we call topic search. It's in beta right now, but I think it's worth showing you guys here at the end too. This allows you to search through all the news articles that we have on these people, through those 1.2 million news sources that we use. So if you wanted to, instead of just going to particular companies or agencies that are on your hit list, this is going to allow you to find folks that may not even be on your radar at all. And you can use this as a way to search through it. So I encourage this as well because this is going to help you guys find other opportunities. And again, just stay up on the news, have that reason to reach out. That's important. So the goal here is, don't just sit back and wait. Put some work into it. Engage your prospects. Engage these companies that you want to reach out to. And once you have, start that relationship. Send over your RTC profile. I know Andrew and I were reading that the voiceover industry was expected to grow by about 18% in the coming years. That's huge. And with the ability to work from home and to work from remote locations, that's even bigger. And I can see why this is growing. Let this partnership set you up with a piece of that pie. Personally, I've had the experience and the pleasure of working with many voiceover talents in my tenure here at REDBOOKS, and I've been with REDBOOKS for over 5 years. There's a couple of you on this webinar that I've spoken with before as well. And over the past 5 years, a handful of you guys can afford the $6K price tag of REDBOOKS, but a lot could not because you guys are independent. You work for your own, and that's a lot. So I know personally firsthand how this can benefit you when you're in there trying to promote and sell yourself. And that's really what brought us together. This is the reason that we're teaming up with Real-Time Casting, because we want to give you guys the opportunity to go out there and continue to grow your business, to go out there and grab more work. And that's where REDBOOKS is going to come into play, and that's where Real-Time Casting and REDBOOKS partnership is really making this happen. So look, as many of you guys know, as a Real-Time Casting member, you can provide and upgrade your membership to receive personal access to REDBOOKS. The cost is done on a yearly basis. It's $499 for the introductory price. We are making it very easy to get this started. Number one, email Real-Time Casting. The address is down here at the bottom of support. at realtimecasting.com. Let Andrew know you want to upgrade your membership, or heck, if you're not even a part of Real-Time Casting yet, still email him. Grab some information from him. Have a discussion. See what it's all about. Secondly, you guys are going to soon see a new payment window appear in your account, and this is going to allow you to gain access to RedBooks. We don't have an exact date that we have this done yet. We definitely think it's going to be after the Labor Day weekend, so keep an eye out for that as well. And we're also going to be going above and beyond here, okay? It's not just about here's access to RedBooks, but we're going to be providing access and resources to help you guys on your outreach, on your messaging, so you can be as effective as possible. What does this mean? It means training videos on how to use RedBooks, of course. How to reach out, for instance, articles in news to kind of give you some ideas and best way to do that. Messaging, what works, what doesn't, strategies, etc. One new piece of work will pay for the membership upgrade. Everything else is icing on the cake. And that's the goal. Go out there, promote yourself in a very smart and intelligent fashion, and continue to grow the voiceover community. Well, that kind of brings me to my end over here, you guys. I do want to take some questions, so if you do have some, feel free to throw them over to the right-hand side for the go-to webinar, and I'll go ahead and get some of those answered. So the fun thing about the RedBooks access is that this is going to put the power back in your hands, and that's what we want to do. We want to, especially with everything going on, we want to make this as easy as possible for you guys to come out here and promote yourself. I have one question on here about the $4.99. Yes, it is $4.99 for you guys. You're not going to be up to the normal cost of RedBooks. This is a partnership that we're doing with Real-Time Casting, and we want to keep it that way so that you have access to this at a reasonable rate based on the industry. So that's very important. Someone asking here about using the RedBooks platform as a CRM as well. That's a good question, actually. And I'm going to jump back over to the RedBooks platform here into the list, or the lead, excuse me. So it's not going to be a all-out CRM. And we built it so you can kind of put some notes in here. So I can say, great, here's Aaron Frisbee. I can now create a new note and kind of use this as a way to say, hey, I spoke with Aaron on, let's see, it's 8/28. And maybe I wanted to save that and call him back later. Or I can put a follow-up in here and say, you know what, I'm going to give him a call again or send him an email on Wednesday. Even download a calendar file as a reminder for me to do so. So you can use it as like a mini CRM, but it's not going to be a Salesforce, you guys. But we do want to make it so that it is easy as possible for you to keep track of what is going on. So someone else asked about the price. Here it is. It's $499 for the year. That's for 12 months of access. Someone else again asked about, no, it does not jump to $6K for the second year. It does not. This is a partnership that I mentioned that we're doing with Real-Time Casting. The reason we're doing this is because I've worked with many voiceover artists over the years, and that's just not feasible. Now for an advertising agency, that may be a different story. But for you guys here, we want to work with you on make sure that you can go out there and promote yourself and be as effective as possible while making sure that the ROI for you is going to be right up there. Again, one new piece of work, we want that to cover the cost of the upgraded membership, period. All right, guys, well, I appreciate you spending some time with me this afternoon. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. Let me put back up on the screen here our contact information. Again, it's support@realtimecasting.com, support@realtimecasting.com. And again, my name is Eric Woolman, and I'm a sales director here at RedBooks, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you all today. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Cheers.